Hey, this is Josh Waldman with REI 360. I want to welcome you to today's training. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I've been implementing for quite some time in my own business, and that is using a deal that I'm working on as a jumping off point in my marketing. It allows me to pick up more deals centrally located and really keep my marketing costs under control and pretty darn well. So let's talk about first, what I'm talking about. What are the underlying principles of using an existing deal as a point or to go out and find more deals? The idea is this. If I have a property on 123 Main Street, and I put it under contract, and then I'm closer to purchasing the property, I want to ramp up my marketing machine so that I can in that same, and I can do it inexpensively. First, one of the underlying principles behind this is that we already know that this is the type of property, the kind of location that we're looking for. This is not a spatter or a gunshot marketing. We're going after specific properties. The property we have on the contract, the deal we have, it's in our target market. So that makes it a perfect, other properties in that neighborhood, perfect candidates for additional deals. Second, when I market, I'm marketing to people in the same neighborhood and I'm telling them, hey, look, I just bought a house down the street. You're getting instant credibility. If you've got somebody that wants and needs to sell a house, they already know you're doing business. They already know that, hey, these guys, they bought the house right next door. They've already seen it. So boom, you got your foot in the door. That's instant credibility. Next, we've got a small budget for this. I'm talking a few $100s maximum on for each of these properties that you should budget towards finding other deals in the neighborhood. It's small, it's targeted, and you got instant credibility there. And finally, it's a really small commitment. I'm going to give you an example here towards the end of the way I run these targeted marketing campaigns. But the idea is that depending on your budget, depending on your your marketing strategies, there are certain things that take a lot of time. Things like door knocking, and if you stuff your own envelopes that for mailers, these are time-consuming things. Relatively speaking, targeting off of existing deals is going to be very small. It's a very small time commitment, and it's going to be relatively inexpensive. All right, so let's look at how we implement. First, what we're going to do is define our geography. Here, I've got a little map as kind of an illustration. What I typically will do, I'm in a more urban area, so I've got a tighter concentration of properties. Typically, I look at about 1/10 of a mile from my subject property in each direction. So we've got essentially about half a mile from east to west and a half a mile from north to south. With that, I'm going to take a look to define this. And one way I might do that is to say, okay, look, I'm going to use Maple up here as my northern boundary. I'm going to use Palm on the bottom, my southern boundary. 21st Street, East 18th Street is my western boundary. And right in here, this overlap, these are the houses that I'm going to be targeting. Typically, they're going to be properties that are very similar in the type and the size and the layout. If you're in a suburban neighborhood, one thing that might work is if you look at the little subdevelopment, the development that the property is in. We're talking about a really small area. You want to target people that they're going to see you guys going into the house when they're working. They're going to see the change in the property as the construction goes on. They're going to interact with this property, and it's something that you're going to point out to them, so they're not going to miss. All right. So we're keeping this in a really tight geography. We're going to define that. Next, we're going to define our campaign. I've done other trainings in the past about the 3 M's of marketing, starting with, even prior to the 3 M's, using the types of properties you're looking for to define your target market. And then I've talked, like I said, about the 3 M's of marketing. They are your market, your message, and the media for delivery of that message. You want to keep these things in mind while you're developing your marketing plan for these existing deals and these neighborhoods. This might be the kind of thing that if you're in a little bit higher end neighborhood, you're going to take a little different approach if you're in a rental grade neighborhood. If you look at flips, you might have to broaden your horizon as far as your target area. Let's face it, if your properties in this market, there's probably not going to be 5 or 6 or 8 properties that are distressed properties in the given neighborhood if they're the kind of neighborhoods you're going to be flipping. So you want to use a variety of different approaches to just have the 1 or 2 properties, or to approach the type of sellers that are going to want to be able to sell their house fast for less than market value. So you have to keep that in mind. And finally, execute. I harp on this all the time, but I run into it all the time too. People will spend hours and hours and hours and hours devising a campaign, doing research on the neighborhood, getting an idea of exactly how they want, what they're going to do, and then they never pull the trigger. They never send out the mailers, they never knock on the doors, they never put up the signs, they never talk to anybody, and all that time is just wasted. So step number 3, as with anything that I teach or harp on, really, you got to execute. You got to put your plan in motion. This is an example of what I do, and you can access all of these, everything but the banner here, you can access in the marketing section of REI 360. You can download and customize the mailing pieces. You can get an example of what I use as my referral, my $500 referral flyer, and then the last chance mailer is also uploaded. So let's talk about this. So I have 4 touches as part of my campaign. Anytime I'm purchasing a property, anytime I'm wholesaling property, anytime I have a property under contract, I want to touch people before I'm even really in the neighborhood. So there's a lot of activity that goes on before the settlement. I'm going into the house, I'm checking it out. If I'm wholesaling the property before the settlement, I'm in and out of the property, either inspecting it or showing it or whatever. Once we have a settlement date, I schedule a mailer. And this mailer is my introduction mailer. And what it says is, hi, my name is Josh Wyman, I'm a real estate investor. I just purchased a property in your neighborhood, and I'm looking to buy more. First, let me introduce myself. You can get more information about my company at WeBuyHomesToFix.com. Beyond that, if you know somebody that's interested in selling their home, whether it's you or someone else, please give me a call. I'd love to give you an all-cash offer and on a quick closing on your property. And that's it. I leave my phone number. That's all. This is an initial touch. Most people will see it. They'll see my name, and they'll either set it aside if they're interested, or they'll throw it out. Either way, I'm not getting a ton of calls off of this intro mailer. On one side of the mailer, I literally have an image of, you probably have seen the stickers if you ever go to a meetup like that. It says, hello, my name is, and I put, hello, my name is Josh, right on there, and they pick it up and they go, what is this? So people will hold on to that, they'll see the name, see what's going on there. But then, I've got my second touch. So with the first touch, it's an introduction. Now on to the second touch. The second touch, I have 5x7 post-it note flyers essentially. You can print these out and make it an 8.5 by 11 on a regular sheet of paper. You can scale it down and do a half sheet. I like the post-it note because it goes right on their door. It sticks up there, and they have to make an effort to remove it. Okay? Well, what does it say? Now, I already approached them and said, hey, if you're interested in selling your property, give me a call. I already took that route. I'm going to take a similar route, kind of a back-end route with the referral flyer. What I do is I have these things printed, and it's a couple $100, and you will get so many of these you can never use them. You can't use them in a lifetime. Get them printed up. I hand a pad to each of my contractors, and I say, on the back of each sheet, I want you to write your name. I'm going to give you $250 for every property that I buy in this neighborhood that has your little thing on your name on the back of the flyer. They like that. In addition, on the front of the flyer, it says, "Attention resident. I recently purchased a property in your neighborhood. My name's Josh Wyman. I'm a real estate investor. I buy houses. These are the types of properties that I buy." And then I list different situations. If your house is in good shape, if it's in bad shape, if it needs repair, it doesn't need repair, foreclosure, divorce, any reason, inheritance, or any other reason you want to sell. Call me today for a free, and then I have a section in there all about a referral. If you know somebody who's looking to sell, wants or needs to sell their home, I will pay you $500. And right on the bottom of the flyer is the picture of a $5 bill, which is no longer in production, but it looks pretty cool. And my message is, give me a call today to claim your $500 referral. Phone number, boom. So that goes up there. That's my second touch. So they come home from work, and my guys are working down the street. Flyer, this is the same guy that sent me it's interesting. Oh, you know what? My aunt, she was thinking about selling her house. Maybe I'll call these guys and call in the referral. Or I'll call my aunt and give her the flyer. Then just make sure the referral comes back to me. Whatever the case is, these things work a lot. The $500 referral is probably one of the best marketing pieces that I have. It really gets people to pick up the phone and call. Because, a lot of times you approach people about selling their house, and unless they're in it's the right time and the right situation, they are probably not interested. However, everybody likes the idea of making $500 real quick. So that opens the door to other things as well. My third touch, I have these big banners that I had made. They're very inexpensive. I mean, for $100, I think I got 3 of them. They're outdoor banners. And depending on the stage of the property, okay, remember we said back here we have to design the campaign. If I'm buying this property to rehab, I put this thing up on the house. If I'm buying to as a rental property, I'll hang it on the house until the tenant moves in. If I'm wholesaling a property, I may or may not get permission to do this. It depends on how local the seller is. But the idea is, boom, this is my touch. They got a sign on the door, they got a postcard in the mail, and now they have this big "We Buy Houses" sign. Mine says, get a free cash offer on your property in 24 hours or less. Call today. All right, so that's the third touch. Now construction's done, the property is done, everything is nice, and I'm talking to neighbors on either side while I'm at the property. I'm discussing the day-to-days of construction. If somebody calls me, a lot of times I'll get calls from people, and what's this all about? Well, you want to spend time with those kind of calls in these type of neighborhoods. What's this? Because I'm a real estate investor. I'm not being pushy. I'm not jumping down your throat. But I've already purchased some properties in your neighborhood. If you know anybody that's interested in selling, I'll happily pay you a referral fee. And if you're looking to sell your house, I'll give you a fair offer and I'll close quickly. So what do you think? You want to listen to what's going on. By now, most people have seen what I'm doing, and most people are either interested or not. But there's always a few holdouts. There's always a few people that are just kind of watching. And maybe they missed you. Maybe you guys were done. They thought, oh, the next time I see the contractors working, I'll stop in and talk to them. And it just never happens. That's why I follow up one more time. I have a postcard. It says, "Hasta la vista, baby," on one side. And this also, it's in the REI 360 mailing campaign. And then on the back, I just say, hey, in case I missed you, we just finished construction on the property in your neighborhood. I'm still looking to purchase a couple more houses. If you are interested in selling your home, or you know someone that has, please give me give a $500 referral bonus, $500 referral fee if you refer us to someone who's looking to sell. And if you want to sell your property, I'll give you a fair all-cash offer. And it's like cleanup. The whole idea with this campaign is like all of the other campaigns that I run. I want to introduce myself. I want to incite people to take action. I want to get them to pick up the phone and call me, specifically if they're interested in selling, or specifically if they know somebody that's interested in selling. The idea behind it is that in these targeted markets, we've got a lot of incentive to market in these areas and do follow-up marketing. Why? Because we already know that the property is in our target market. it's it's relatively inexpensive compared to some of the other marketing outlets. You already have credibility, and it's really effective. You end up turning all of the marketing you did to find that first property, you're using that momentum to pigtail off to another 1 or 2 or 3 properties in the same neighborhood, and you end up, instead of making $5,000 on a wholesale deal from one property, you end up making $20,000 on the same marketing campaign, essentially. So, using a deal to market for more houses is a really excellent idea. I recommend you get involved with it and try it out on your next project. You'll be amazed at the results that you get. That's it for today's training. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, I wish you the best of luck in your real estate investing.